it's Dr. Z here with the hybrid tutorial for your data report on economic development. So as another reminder, please review the rubric associated with the data report, and please do cite the specific pages that you use for your country. I know I've given them to you, and it might seem redundant and silly to post them, but it's designed to give you practice in best practices in citing, even in online data reports. So in any kind of online technical writing, you're still expected to cite your sources in this way using links. So a couple of things about this week. It may seem like you're gathering a lot of data. It should all work together. In other words, you should be thinking overall about what the data says about the level of wealth of your country as well as level of well-being. And some of the different data give you information about wealth, whereas other pieces give you information about well-being. So I want you to explore a little bit that relationship and think about what it means to be economically developed. Is it just a certain level of income or money? Most people would say no, it has to do with a lot of other factors, many of which you're going to be looking at here in regards to your country's level of development. So we'll get started right away with the World Bank indicators, looking at GDP per capita and GDP. So these are pretty self-explanatory. There's not much to give you here. You've used this data source before, and I'm giving you the direct link to get to each of these two pieces of data. So here's your GDP per capita, and then you'd find 2015 for your country. Please do cite the currency. So this is current US dollars. So that would be whatever today's US dollars were, or when the data was gathered. So here, 2015. So we'll go back. The same thing applies to GDP. What's the difference? You'll see in class, but your country may have a small GDP, but a high GDP per capita. So GDP is typically the level of wealth of your country or the size of your country's economy, whereas GDP per capita is a better measure of overall wealth per person. So the next data piece is a little bit more involved, but if you follow the directions, it should be straightforward. So it's the 2017 World Happiness Report. And when you click on the report, you're taken to this 2017 version, which just came out actually a week ago. So it was published on March 20th. So you would go to the full World Happiness Report here, or select chapters. I strongly suggest using the select chapters. So you can go back and forth between the Blackboard description, and I'm asking you to read the executive summary. It's only a page. And then go to the Chapter 2 Statistical Appendix for the complete ranking. And I'll show you that first. So you'd go to Chapter 2, Statistical Appendix, download, and up will pop your PDF. It's going to have description of the variables, so I'm going to scroll down by page here. Some data about different coverage of years, some tables, and we are looking for the ranking. And here's the ranking. So you'll know the ranking by the title, but it's here in figure 7. And then you can see along the left-hand side the overall ranking. So you would find your country, and a hint, you're in PDF, so you can use Control Find. So Canada, I'm looking at you at number 7. After you gather the overall ranking, you are then asked to go into the Excel sheet for the Chapter 2 online data. So you'd go back to the report and then click on Chapter 2 online data. You can't tell it's Excel until you download, and now it's obvious. So open up the Excel file. It should take a minute here. What I'm asking you to look at in the Excel file is listed here. Figure 2.2, WHR 2017. So here is my Excel file, and then here is figure 2.2 WHR 2017. So here I'm asking you to do a couple of things, and the ranking is here as well. So I'm asking you to gather the second piece of information, and you're asked to get happiness explained by generosity, happiness explained by social support, GDP per capita, and freedom to make life choices. So you would click on the whole sheet and then use the data sort function. Click My List Has Headers, and then you would pick each of these. So we'll go first with happiness explained by GDP per capita, and it doesn't matter which one you sort as long as you know which one it's sorted. So we'll do largest to smallest. So the ranking of GDP per capita is this: higher number, higher happiness explained by GDP per capita. So Qatar is actually number 1, Luxembourg number 2, Singapore number 3. So you just have to remember which one you sorted by. So you would keep going. And the next one, generosity, social support. So you'd click here, sort, pick the next one. So we'll pick generosity first. It doesn't matter what order as long as you know. So, I actually went small to large, so I'll go back to sort, large to small. So, supported by generosity, it looks like the US and European countries are actually not in the top of the list. So, Myanmar/Burma is the happiest, explained by generosity, followed by Indonesia, Malta, Thailand, etc. And the United States is down here, ranked at 21st. So the ranking, in case you didn't notice, you get by looking at this column here, column A. And when you sort here by generosity, the first country is the top country that has happiness explained by generosity. So Myanmar is number 1. So you just find your country and then subtract 1. So Trinidad and Tobago, number 39 for happiness explained by generosity. So you'll see pretty quickly that your country is going to bounce around. So maybe you have a lot of social support in your country, but not a lot of money. So this is getting you to think about that relationship of wealth and well-being. So the next data link is the UNDP Human Development Index. So we'll click on that. And if you go back to the instructions, it says also go to the statistical annex. This one's a little weird because you actually would click it twice. You click statistical annex and then again statistical annex. Do not go to HDI rankings by country. It does not give you the information you will need. So I'll click on this again. And everything's in here in order for what I'm asking you to do. So here it says in table 1, and if we go here, you will see as you scroll down, it's got some information up front. Here is table 1. So you would use this, and again, you can use the control find function. So Canada, I'll pick on you again today. You have very high human development, and you are ranked number 10, which is actually 1 decrease from 2014. And then I ask you to look at table 2, 3, and then 5. So you do jump around a little bit. Table 2, you're looking at the change in HDI ranking. So I'll give you a quick example of that. So for each of these tables, I'm giving you the heading. So here, change in HDI rank from 2010 to 2015, that's what I'm asking you to gather. And we can see Canada here, as I already told you, had a change of 1. So they got worse by 1 Actually, no, they improved by 1 between 2010 and 2015. So you can see the Netherlands overall lost 2 rankings between this 5-year time span. For Table 3, inequality adjusted HDI. So I'll show you that one. So this is the section for inequality adjusted HDI. So I'm asking you to look at the overall loss of percent of your HDI ranking that is due to inequality. And I explain that here, overall loss percent. So Canada, you lost 8.9% of your HDI due to inequality. So you actually went down, and you can tell 0.92 is your value of human development, but when adjusted for inequality, it drops to 0.839. So it's not as bad as some of the others, but it could be better. So inequality is impacting overall human development in your country by approximately 8.9%. And you can see I'm using Canada. They're under this very high human development. If we scroll down to low human development for Table 3, you'll see a lot different set of numbers. So we'll pick on Comoros here. They have a change of 45.8%. So due to inequality, humans are 45.8% worse off in Comoros compared to if they did not have issues with inequality. That's how this data works. And you can see this column for this section of countries is pretty high, meaning that they are more likely to be impacted by income inequality than countries up above. The last one here is gender inequality. So Table 5, I skipped 4 because it is also about gender. So the Gender Inequality Index in Table 5 is right here, and you get both a value and a rank. So you're going to want to report the rank, which is actually here for 2016 along the left-hand side. So you can see the change between 2015. So Norway, number 1. Australia, number 2 here, etc., etc. So the Canada and the US are actually tied for number 10, it looks like, for 2016 in terms of gender inequality. So they're not the best, but they're not the worst either, because the worst countries are down here at the bottom. So Central African Republic has the worst gender inequality in the world, with a pocket of other African, actually they're all sub-Saharan African states in the bottom 10 of gender inequality. So once you're done with that, I only have you do 2 more things. You go to the Highly Indebted Poor Country Initiative. So this is you looking for whether your country is on this list. If they are, you just have to answer a simple question, and I'll show you how to do that. So you hop on over to the HIPC initiative, and you scroll down to see this set of countries, 36, have received full amount of debt relief for which they are eligible. 30 of these countries are in Africa, most sub-Saharan. And then there are 3 countries that have started the process of debt relief, but have not actually been able to reach any meaningful points. So they have ongoing conflicts, therefore they have not gotten full debt relief. And then finally, you are asked to select 4 indicators of development from the World Bank Open Data Set. You can pick anything. So here's the list of indicators. So I would suggest clicking here and then browsing by indicator or country. So I'll just click country to show you how this would work. Let's go on over to Angola. So you can see this list of development metrics for Angola. So if you want to report life expectancy at birth, that's a really good one to determine your overall level of development. You can see Angola's trajectory from 32, well, about 33 in 1960, and that is only 33 years. And they've gone all the way up to only 52. That's about 25 to 30 years below countries in the West. So if you live in Angola, you do not have a great chance of living a long life. Therefore, your level of development is a lot lower than countries with higher life expectancies. This is actually pretty low, and they were hard hit by the HIV/AIDS epidemic in the late 80s, but really in the 90s in sub-Saharan Africa. Other indicators are really whatever you want. So if you want to look at indicators, you could go back and you could search. Instead of clicking on country, you would click on indicator, and you get this really neat list of the categories on the right-hand side and then the specific indicators on the left-hand side. So you can see, for instance, the percent of agriculture in your country. That's interesting. You can see the percent of, I'll just pick science and technology. Do you have high-tech exports? Do you have patent applications? Do you have research in R&D? A lot of it, not a lot of it. Some of these indicators, by the way, you might not have data for your country. It just means it's not available. So just pick a new indicator. And then you should summarize. In addition to thinking about how your country's level of development is, you should also provide a 2 to 3 sentence explanation for why. So think about what you've identified in the past data reports about your country. Maybe it's been involved in violent conflict. Maybe there are a lot of insurgencies. Maybe you are wealthy and it's because you do participate in the global economy. You trade a lot with other countries and you do not get involved in a lot of conflict. So try to use what you know already to provide this 2 to 3 sentence explanation, and then we'll move into our next data reports to find out how your country operates in the international legal system. Thank you.